Hello friends, welcome to Kavita's Classroom and welcome to examination season as well. So in this time of examination, how can you help yourself? By practicing more and more sample papers, right? So now we are beginning with a new series of sample papers. Be with me and I'll help you out. So here we go with the first sample paper of the series. And this is a paper which was executed by CBSE in the past. Right? So this gives you a clear-cut exposure of how the paper looks like and how to go about it. It will give you a simulated feeling, so that would build up your confidence. So here we go. The paper looks like this, where all the instructions are given in English as well as Hindi. It's bilingual, right? Some mandatory things like number of printed pages, number of questions, code number instructions are given. You must give a good time of reading the same, right? The reading time is from 10:15 to 10:30, and then after 10:30, you begin. One side of the question paper is in Hindi, and on the other side, we have English, right? General instructions, as you are well aware of, the paper contains 34 questions, 2 sections are there, macro and Indian eco, 10 1-marker, 2 3-marker, 3 4-marker, 2 6-marker questions are there in both the sections. All questions are to be attempted. There is no overall choice, but yes, there is some internal choice given in some questions. So here we begin with the first question of this paper. In the context of current account transactions of BUP, identify the incorrect. First and foremost thing is you must read the question, read the statement very carefully. We are asked for incorrect statement. Exports are recorded as credit items, correct. Imports are recorded as debit item, correct. All transfer payments are recorded as debit items, and all transfer receipts are recorded as debit item. So debit shows the money going. It's not the money coming. So the first question is settled here. This is the incorrect statement because receipts are on credit side. Payments are on debit side. Move ahead. We have the second question. From the items given in column 1 and 2, choose the correct pair. So we have to see the options are A1, B2, C3, D4. Students often confuse here and they get confused by matching. It's not a question of matching. You have to just check, is this or this or this or this is the correct format, right? So let us see. Income from property, old age pension, no, mismatch. Income from entrepreneur, profit. Entrepreneurship has got a component of profit, right? Because income from property and entrepreneurship has rent, interest, royalty, and profit. So this looks correct, but you should go for the further reading as well. Mixed income, rent-free accommodation from employer, no. And compensation of employees, interest from capital, clear no. So the answer is B2 is the correct option. Moving ahead, third question is, managed floating exchange rate system is an amalgamation, means the mixture of fixed as well as flexible exchange rate system. This is a true statement. Managed floating exchange rate system is also known as hybrid system. Yes, because it's a mix of two systems. It's called hybrid system. So this also is correct. This is correct and this is correct. Hence, the answer would be C part, right? Moving ahead. Fourth question. Irfan, a student, borrows rupees 80,000 to finance his college fee. He plans to begin repaying this loan 6 months after his graduation, making payments over a span of 10 years. Based on the above text, identify the indicated function of money. It's a clear question and clear answer because the money would be taken now and would be repaid in next 10 years of his graduation. So we're talking about deferred payments. So the answer is the standard of deferred payments. The fifth question is, suppose the saving curve of an economy makes an intercept at a negative value of 50 crores. What does it mean? It simply says that how does saving curve looks like? This is how saving curve looks like because it begins from the negative sign, and this minus 50 is the intercept given here. This is the interpretation. Now, in the economy, 20% of the increase in income is saved. It means what is given to us, MPS is given to us to be 0.2 or 20%, 20 by 100. In the light of above context, identify the value of investment multiplier. What's the formula? Formula is K is equal to 1 by MPS. So how would it be? 1 by 0.2. That makes 10 by 2 and that makes 5. So my answer is 5. So what is to be understood here in this question? That this first statement was just a trap. It had no value in this. It had no connect in this question. So it was just an extra piece of information to be overlooked. Moving ahead, question number 6. Assertion reasoning. Public goods are those goods that are collectively consumed by the public. Yes, these are. So this is true. Public goods are excludable and rivalrous in nature. They are playing here with you. Actually, the nature is non-excludable and non-rivalrous, but they have used the basic terminology of excludability and rivalrous nature. So here they are trying to confuse you. Don't get confused. So this becomes a false statement. This becomes a true statement. So my answer is assertion is true and reason is false. Now, 7th, suppose the value of APC is 0.8 and national income is 4,000. The value of savings would be. Mind you, when we are required to have savings, so we don't need APC. In fact, we need APS. So how would it be and what would be the value? It's going to be 1 minus this value. So it comes out to be 0.2. What is the formula of APS? APS is equal to S by Y, and we are given this to be equal to 0.2. So the S would be equal to 0.2 into Y. And what is Y given to us? Y is 4,000. So what is the value of 0.2 of 4,000? That comes out to be 800. So this is my answer. The next question. In context of commercial bank, which of the following statements are correct? Again, read it carefully. We are asked the correct statements. So deposits received are liabilities for the commercial banks. Yes, because these are to be paid back. So it's a liability on them. They are the creator of credit. That's the main function of commercial banks. They accept deposits from the general public. Yes, they do for their own benefit, for profit making. They accept deposit on behalf of Reserve Bank of India. No, this is not correct. They are commercial banks. They are trying to create profit and money for their own selves, but under the instructions of Reserve Bank of India. So they are not on behalf of RBI. So this is incorrect. Rest are correct. So my answer comes out to be A part. Now, if a country exports goods worth rupees 600 and imports rupees 450 crores, right? So the value of BOT, you just have a clear idea. Exports are more, imports are less. So the situation is good or bad? It's good. They are in surplus. And what's the surplus? The difference between the exports and imports. So my answer would be, it's going to be the surplus and that to 150. Or you have the BOT is equal to the value of exports minus the value of imports. So this way you can simply clearly find it out. 600 minus 450 is 150 and that too is a positive sign here. Moving ahead, let's continue doing again the same set of question. That from column 1 and 2, we have to choose the correct pair. So let us check. Non-tax revenue, good and services tax? No, it's tax revenue clearly. So it cannot be non-tax. So this is incorrect. Indirect tax has got free rider effect. Actually, this free rider effect is taken in context of public goods, right? So there is no clear match here. Capital expenditure, borrowings. Now, capital expenditure, it's a capital receipt. Borrowings means money is coming to you. So it's a capital receipt, not the expenditure. Again, this is incorrect. Private goods are rivalrous in nature. This looks good. Why? Because we know public goods are non-rivalrous. So private goods would be rivalrous in nature. So this D comes out to be the correct answer here. Now let's check out. We are beginning with 3-marker questions. Here we have first read A or B. So it's the internal choice. Either you go for A part or for B part. Right. Those who have a strong command on the numericals must go for numericals because that is, there is no gray area. 3 on 3 generally, so they are expected to get. But theory has got some gray area. There would be some 2.5 situations also when you are not able to satisfy the examiner. Now let's begin. The question says, calculate NVA at FC. The term itself gives us the hint that it should be of the production method because NVA is asked. Still, you should check the components. So the first component, we should always keep an attention on which is the heaviest component. Here it's sales. So sales, purchases, consumption of fixed assets, stock. So it's a clear question of product method. So what are the steps of product method? We get to have GVO at MP at the very first. That's equal to sales add change in stock. Right. So sales are 10,625 rupees add change in stock. So stock is given. Increase in unsold stock is nothing but change in stock. You have to have it clearly this way. So this step goes clear. This is the value. Whenever you land on one figure, always write the units crores and rupees. So this is GVO. Now GVA. GVA is, you have to subtract IC here from. You must write the formula all the time. So 11,225 minus, what is it? IC. IC is the purchases. Here IC is not given, so we'll take up the purchases, right? Purchases are 2,625. So what are we left with? We are left with 8,600. Now the last step is we have to find NVA at FC. So let us find what are the conversions requirement here. So GVA at MP is given. From G, we'll subtract depreciation to get N. Then NIT would be subtracted to make it FC. So let's begin. Here we have 8,600 minus depreciation. Depreciation is consumption of fixed assets. That is 500 minus NIT. So NIT is given broken form, means IT and subsidies are given separately. So minus NIT. I'm just doing NIT is IT minus subsidies. That's equal to 800. So I'll write 800 here and you can just mention in this step or do it separately, but show it, right? So we have to subtract 1,300 from this. So it's going to be out of 6. When we subtract 3, it's 3, and then we are left with this. This is the correct answer. And when we are to give the final answer, never forget mentioning rupees, crores, or whatever units are given to you. Either do that or do the other one. It's an internal choice question. And the other says distinguish between NFIA and net exports. So you can clearly write that what is NFIA? The value of NFIA is factor income from abroad minus factor income to abroad. So you can give that formula. So here we can talk about the formula. We can talk about the components. So what are the components of NFIA? NFIA is made up of net compensation of employees, net income from entrepreneurship and property, and then net retained earnings. So you can talk about the components and you can give a theoretical explanation also that this is the difference of the factor income which is generated from abroad by the residents and the factor income which is generated which is given to abroad by the non-resident of the country. Right. So this way you have explained fairly well, giving its explanation, formula and components. And when you talk about net exports, so it is the clear difference between the exports and imports. It's a valuable concept used in product method and expenditure method. Here for this NFIA, you can also add that this is used for the difference of domestic and national. And you can give the equation that domestic income when added to NFIA gets you the national income. So this way you have given enough material to be marked. Okay. Now, 12th question. The government had launched Incredible India campaign to promote tourism. Okay. So elaborate the impact of campaign on foreign exchange reserves and balance of payments of India. Try and understand when you're reading, mark the important points. It's not one question asked here. We have a mix of two questions and the weightage would be 1.5 and 1.5 for the same. So let's understand how foreign exchange reserves would be impacted when people are coming to India for tourism. So they will bring their currency to India and get it converted to the domestic currency. So this will clearly bring the demand of Indian currency and will help us have the foreign exchange reserves. So the foreign exchange reserves would increase. And as far as balance of payments of India is concerned, because the foreign exchange would come to the country, so it's going to have a favorable impact on the BOP situation of the country. Now next, under the Ayushman Bharat scheme, the government provides free medical treatment to the poor section of society. Okay, free medical treatment is being talked about. Right. So identify and explain. Again, be very careful. 4 marks questions there. And they say identify and explain. So it would clearly have 1 mark for identification and 3 marks for explanation, please. So you have to identify the objective. Beta, the government has got 2 types of functions. One is the growth function and the other is welfare function, right? So when we talk about growth and welfare function, here in this context, what is government doing? Government is trying to promote the welfare of the country by helping the poor section of society. Right. So government would be redistributing its resources from here to here, means maybe from some resources would be taken from growth aspect and to this welfare aspect. So it's a clear question of redistribution or reallocation of resources. But definitely when this happens, it would eventually help the poorer section to spend less and they would have more disposable income for their own selves, and hence it would bridge up the inequality or the gap between rich and poor. But we would begin with reallocation of resources and eventually we'll talk about that it would also help in reducing the inequality in the economy. Now, 14th question says, suppose in an economy, the primary deposits are 500, reserve ratio is 25%. Right. Estimate the total deposits created and the total lending in the banking system. Again, I'm saying, be very mindful. Students at times do only the first question and the second part is ignored and hence they get a loss of marks. So what do we do? Reserve ratio is given. So what is the money multiplier? Money multiplier is equal to 1 by reserve ratio, right? And that's equal to 1 by 25%. And that's equal to 100 by 25. And hence it is 4. So if primary deposits are 500, what would be the value of total deposits? Total deposits would be the money multiplier multiplied by the primary deposits. That's equal to 4 into 500, and hence we would land on rupees 2,000 as the total deposits. Now the total lending by the government means it's nothing but they are asking about the derivative deposits, or you may the derivative deposits, or you may say the secondary deposits, because they are asking from this pool or from this base of 500 how much they have created for lending. So the total lending by banking would be, it's a clear answer, from the total deposits we'll subtract the primary deposits, and the lending done by the bank would be rupees 1,500. I hope this is clear to you. Moving ahead, question number 15. Consumption function is given to us and investment value is given to us. First question, equilibrium. When do we have equilibrium? Equilibrium is attained when AD is equal to AS or S is equal to I, or a straight expression is AS is also called Y and AD is also called C plus I, right? So here as C is given to us and I is given to us and Y is ours. So we'll put the values here in this very question, that Y is equal to 200 plus 0.75Y and plus 4,000. What am I left with? I'm left with, here I'm doing 0.75y goes this side. We're left with 0.25y is equal to 4,200, and y comes out to be 4,200 divided by 25 multiplied by 100. 25 4s 100, and here it is 0, 0, 8 and 16. 16,800 rupees crore is the first answer. That is equilibrium level of income, 16,800 crore rupees. Now, total consumption at this level, simple. We have to put this value of Y here in this C. So how do we go about it? C is given to be 200 plus 0.75Y means 3 by 4 of 16,800. So let's do the calculation. It should be in brackets always. So it's 4 4s are 4 2s are 0 0. We are left with 200 plus 0 0, 3 2s are 6, 3 4s are 12. So answer is 12,800 rupees crore is the consumption. So here this answer is 12,800, right? Consumption at equilibrium level. Let's proceed further. We are given a case study, and what is it about? Let's see. Union Food and Consumer Affairs Minister said that the central government has taken many proactive steps in the past few years to control retail prices of the food items. He said that the government aims to keep inflation under control without compromising the country's economic growth. Retail inflation inched up to a 3-month high of 5.55% in November 2023, driven by higher food prices. Inflation has been declining since August 2023, when it touched 6.83%. 140 new price monitoring centers have been set up by the government to keep a close watch on wholesale and retail prices of the essential commodities. Okay, so this paragraph basically talks about the problem and the fact. And then we have, the government has banned the export of many food items like wheat, broken rice, non-basmati white rice, onions, etc. It has also reduced the import duties on edible oils and pulses to boost domestic supply and control price rise. So this talks about the action, right? So be very careful while reading to have the interpretation done while reading. So let's answer on the basis of the given text. Mention the number of new price monitoring centers. It's a simple comprehension term and it's clearly given here. 140 new price monitoring centers have been set up. So you get to have one easy mark here. Then, state any two proactive measures taken by the government to boost domestic supply and reduction in prices. And yes, it is clearly mentioned in the second paragraph that they banned the export of many food items, right? So this is our first strategy, the government strategy. And second is reduced import duties, right? So it means the prices would be controlled by these two. Okay. And then they say, explain any one monetary measure to control the inflation. Mind you, it's of 3 marks. So whenever this is there, clearly explain, clearly give it. How is it to be done? So it's going to be broken into 1 and 2. If we write any of the monetary measures, repo rate, reverse repo rate, CRR, SLR, bank rate, anything, we have to control the money supply. So we'll increase the repo rate, right? Increase repo rate. The moment we write this, we clearly have 1 mark with us because we have given the solution. And then we go for its explanation that when repo rate increases, then the commercial banks also are compelled to give the money or lend the money at increased rate, which simply discourages people because now the loan is expensive and hence the inflation is controlled because money supply in the economy is controlled. So this way you have to clearly give in the first line, start from another paragraph and do underline these keywords because this will straight away give you the marks without any confusion to the examiner. Next, and the last question of the macro, explain any two precautions to be adopted while estimating national income by expenditure method. Very simple. We never go for second-hand good. The expenditure on second-hand goods is never included, though the commission is included, right? We go for only the final goods. The intermediate goods are not included. The expenditure on the financial things like shares, debentures, bonds is not included, right? So financial, second-hand good, and intermediate consumption, intermediate expenditure, the expenditure on intermediate goods. So these are not to be included. And here, because they have said for 2, so it's going to be marked 1.5, 1.5 for each precaution. Then, higher GDP always means higher per capita availability of goods in economy. This question is such an important question. It's most often every third paper it is there, but in a very twisted language, right? Sometimes they simply talk about GDP and welfare, but some content from that section is taken up. So they say defend or refute the given statement as the index of welfare. You must note, as they say defend or refute, you have to begin your answer with the given statement is refuted. Unless and until you give this word, they may deduct half a mark, irrespective of your clear and correct explanation. So this word has to be there to begin with the explanation, right? They say that even if the GDP increases, it never assures, because that can be concentrated with rich people also. If you talk about the Tatas, Birlas, Ambanis of India, right? So there are big business houses. They may be doing very well, right? But that doesn't mean that the poorest of poor also is benefited by that growth. Okay, so it doesn't filter out, it doesn't trickle out to each of them, the masses, right? So because of this, the concentration of the richness of the country in few hands is the basic problem here in case of GDP as the index of welfare. So the welfare of masses is not promoted in this case. When we say or, It simply means either you have to attempt these two together or you have to attempt these two together. Sometimes students are confused. They go for one out of these two and one out of these two, and that simply gives a loss of mark. Or means either the above section or the below section. And the last question is distinguish between stock and flow using suitable examples. So you have to give the statement that stock variables are calculated at a point of time, whereas the flow variables are measured over a period of time. And the best possible example is national wealth is stock and national income is flow. Right? So this way you can give the example as well as the definition. Then you have explain the components of profit as per the income method of estimating national income. So profit has got three components, very clear. Corporation taxes, we called it corporate tax or the profit tax, right, which is given to the government. Then the retained earnings or the undistributed profits, the retained earnings, which is kept back by the organization, maybe for future growth aspects or for any unforeseen circumstances or contingencies. And the third part is given away to the owners of the company, that is the investors, and that is called the dividend. With this explanation, you are done with 40 marks, one segment of this eco paper. In the next paper, in the next video, we will be talking about the Indian economic development. Till then, stay tuned, and this is going to be a regular exercise of sample paper discussion now. Bye-bye. See ya.